Hi class. Here is an example of a claim statement plus the entire quote analysis, which does an excellent job. And I want you to take note so that when you write your next quote analysis, you'll be able to make sure that you are including the 5 rules of the road and being able to tie back your evidence to your claim statement. So let's look at the beginning. Rule number 1, it's stating the title, separate piece. Rule number 2, it's stating the author, John Knowles. Rule number 3, what is the literary element or genre that you want to try to explain? Symbolism. Number 4 is what do you want to explain about your literary element? And here it is to show the mental pain which comes through along adulthood. All right. So yes, this student has had some typos, but we're not going to criticize that. We're looking at the format and the flow. Okay. So that's 4 of the 5 rules of the road. The entire claim statement then is, in the short story, A Separate Piece by John Knowles, the author uses symbolism to show the mental pain which comes through adulthood. The first example, which is the first evidence to back up and support and prove that claim, is highlighted in light blue. And they have a transition. The first thing said in the quote was, quote, "It struck me then that I was injuring him again." End quote. Jean is not physically hurting Finn during the encounter, but instead this portion helps symbolize the mental toll growing, so on and so forth. All right, so let's stop for a minute. Having a transition is an excellent use of your communication tools because you're letting the reader know that you're moving from the claim statement into your first piece of evidence. A transition, the first thing. Now here is the 5th rule of the road, which is taking a quote of the quote to use it as support. So the quote of the quote is, "It struck me then that I was injuring him again." End quote. Now, how do you tie your evidence back? Well, sometimes you need to repeat certain words or key phrases that you used in your quote analysis. So here we have, this is our first tie-in. Jean is not physically hurting Finn during the encounter, but instead, this portion helps symbolize the mental toll growing has on a kid, as there is a much more serious and sorrow-mounted tensions between these two friends. Now we're moving into a second sentence, which is continuing to support the first idea. This is extremely important because it allows us to see the deeper meaning, how the gap from youth to adulthood as a deeper symbolical meaning of guilt and sorrow behind it, as Jean begins to feel extreme guilt and sorrow to the point where it is hurting his best friend. All right, so here in dark blue, there is a repetition of our genre, okay? So that is allowing the reader to see you are making a connection between your example, which is your evidence, back to your claim. That's how you let your reader know that you are giving them an example of your evidence. All right, so this person then took roughly 3 extended sentences to help show how their analysis supports, backs up, proves their claim about symbolism showing mental pain, which comes along in adulthood. All right, so everything in light blue is the very first supporting example. In the light purple, then, we're moving on into a second example to support the claim. So here we have another transition. Next, Jean says, you really need to begin including transitions into your writing because it's monumental. It helps the reader see where your thoughts are going and how your thoughts are connected. Next, Jean says, and here we have Rule 5 of Rules of the Road, quote the quote. It occurred to me that this could be an even deeper injury than what I had done before, end quote. Now, we need a sentence or two which is going to explain how this quote backs up the claim that symbolism shows mental pain. Here it is. While obviously he is not physically injuring Phineas in any way, shape, or form, Jean understands that he's upset and means so terrible that the pain is worse than the pain in his leg. This also symbolizes, see, there's repetition back to the key words from the claim statement. Symbolizes the pain and sorrow which come with adults, as this quote puts onto full display how pain is not always physical, but instead the mental pain which comes with adulthood can be worse. And then there is a concluding sentence which repeats the claim statement from the beginning. So it's mini essay within this one paragraph. These pieces and parts of the quote help symbolize the mental pain and trauma which comes through the means of adulthood and growing up. So, what makes this an excellent example of a quote analysis is that it has the 5 rules of the road included. Plus, it uses extended answer sentences to support, to back up, to prove, to show how, and to show why their analysis confirms the statement that they made in the claim statement. This is what makes an excellent quote analysis. These are the things you need to think about as you are writing your own quote analysis. All right?